Hey everyone, Airball here, and we are continuing our exploration of Standard in advance of the DGen Open tournament that's coming up next week, trying to find a deck we like to play. And I decided that today we're going to go over mono-white aggro, which is one of the other main players in the format. So obviously, like I said in the last video, Standard right now is dominated mostly by mono-green, mono-white, and Izzet Epiphany dragons kind of stuff. And Mono White, which was kind of tier 1.5 in the last standard, with the release of Crimson Vow, sort of advanced to tier 1, most popular deck. And that's because it got a bunch of extra tools. So we have the 3-drop slot, which is like the main thing people like to talk about with Mono White. It's a big traffic pile up here. You have 4 copies of Elite Spellbinder, which is just an excellent tool for disruption, and also a tempo card, allowing you to beat down your opponent before they can react. Takes away their sweepers, makes it so that you can protect your other creatures. 2 copies of Redain in the main deck, which is good if you play against a lot of Izzet. Makes everything cost more. Makes the Epiphanies less likely to hurt you, or less likely to even be cast. Combined with Apollo himself, you can make it so that sweepers are effectively uncastable. Adeline is an awesome card to put into play when you already have a board. Becomes a big beater on her own, but also just on the turn she comes into play, creating the 1/1s. She can swing from an empty board state. She can swing a game on her own. So these are the cards that we already had access to, but now we have also 3 copies of Thalia in the main and an additional copy of Thalia in the sideboard, which additionally taxes the Izzet decks and makes it even harder to play against Mono White. 4 copies of Valorous Stance signaled the end of Smoldering Egg in Standard. It's pretty effective at dealing with dragons writ large. Also, a decent answer to Hullbreaker Horror, a 2-mana instant speed answer to keep it off the board for another turn, so you can get in the last few points of damage is pretty important. Also got 4 copies of Hopeful Initiate, which is a card that did better than I expected it to. So it's 1 mana 1/2, which is like your typical white weenie creature. But it has like this training, which is like this reverse mentor effect. So if Hopeful Initiate comes into play and gets to attack with any creature on the board that has greater power than it, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on the Hopeful Initiate. So it becomes a must-answer threat later in the game just by doing the things that you already wanted to do with the deck. The ability is somewhat relevant. You can kill an Asika's Chariot if you get 2 +1/+1 counters on your creatures. But overall, it's really just a turn 1 threat that grows, which was one thing that the deck sort of lacked early on. 1 copy of Legion Angel in the main, 3 copies in the sideboard. So this is a way to give us a little recursive card advantage and make it harder for control decks to beat us even still. 4/3 flyer can also fly over the green creatures and win the game that way. And of course, we have 4 copies of Faceless Haven, which is one of the best creatures in Standard if you're playing a monocolored deck. So I'm interested to see how this deck does. Let's hop into some games. Yeah, so 4 lands is a little land heavy, but we do have a 1-drop, we do have Redain, we do have Faceless Haven. We'll definitely keep this. Usher of the Fallen, if it gets to attack, at least represents a 2-drop next turn, so we will get to use our mana. And of course, the most important thing is that we're on the play. So we can either boast or we can play the second Usher of the Fallen. Against Izzet. Against Izzet, this is interesting, right? What's our next turn look like? It's probably Redain. I think I'm going to make the 1/1. Don't want to play into like a board wipe or something. Maybe against Fading Hope exactly, we're supposed to play the Usher of the Fallen there, and there was a stick there, so it's possible they have it. Frostboil Snarl is interesting in the Izzet decks. Most of them don't play that card anymore. Okay, so pretty obvious removal spell here. I'm going to play the Faceless Haven and attack. We'll see what they do. Okay. They're going to let us hit them. So we could have We could be working. So this wasn't a removal spell. They probably would have killed the Usher. So now the concern is that they have Jwari Disruption. I'm not really interested in playing Redain straight into that. So I think I'm just going to play the Usher of the Fallen. If they Jwari Disrupt it, then we will pay. And if they don't, then we'll just make the 1/1. Cinderclasm, of course, is another possibility. But if they have Cinderclasm, then that's pretty awful, actually. I'm not sure which is more likely, Cinderclasm in the main or Jwari Disruption. It's probably Jwari Disruption, right? So this was probably the right play. Okay, they foretell something. Valorous Stance is reasonable. Cinderclasm, if we pump the adversary, still kills everything if they kick it. So what to do? If we pump with the adversary, then we get 2, 4, 6, 10 damage this turn. Faceless Haven to follow. I think I like it. This still feels like they have the still feels like they have the Fading Hope, doesn't it? This stick here. I think we have to pay. Considered holding a Valorous Stance. Okay, interesting. So there was no stick there, so it's possible the opponent was just holding a stop to make me think. Yeah, okay, cool. So what did they foretell? Probably Epiphany? Yeah, they foretold Epiphany and didn't do anything. Cool. Okay, so that went pretty well. This is Mengu's list. He did provide a sideboard guide, and which, funnily enough, the only thing that the sideboard guide says to do in this matchup is bring in the 1 copy of Thalia and take out one of the Sky Malls, which makes sense, right? Because they're going to have removal for our creatures. The equipment isn't great, but the Thalia is outstanding. And that's it. Okay. So now we can definitely expect Cinderclasms. That's what the opponent's going to bring in against us more likely than anything. How's this hand against Cinderclasm? Kind of like the Nut Low, but 2 copies of Thalia. I did fix up the art for these, but it still shows as 2 separate Thalia arts. Okay. Yeah, so Hopeful Initiate into Thalia into a training trigger on turn 3. Seems good. If we get to attack. Ooh, okay, so I still think I like the Initiate here because I fear Spikefield Hazard and Cinderclasm. Usher dies to the Spikefield Hazard, which it felt like they had because of the stop with the 1 red mana available. So that does mean that Thalia is likely to die. Well, not because now that they played the tap land, that's not true anymore, right? Thalia will tax the Spikefield Hazard, and they'll have to spend their mana on their turn to do it. So I think I like that. There's no reason not to attack first, I suppose. There's no stick. Interesting. I think I'm fine having Thalia die here. They kill Thalia because we have another one in hand. We can play Thalia plus Usher of the Fallen. And if they don't kill Thalia, then we get to pump up the Initiate. Okay, cool. So we can play Adeline pre-combat. This is the first turn that they'd be able to Jwari Disrupt something. If we played that, I would feel very sad. Let's make him blink. Ding him for 4. We get the pump. Okay. So here we are post-combat. Don't really want to play the adversary. I don't really want to play Adeline. If I did want to play Adeline, I would have played it pre-combat. I think here we just play the Usher and say go. At least now the Initiate's out of kicked Cinderclasm range if they untap and do that. I'm just gonna say go here. Slendy Isle's interesting. I'm not really sure what that means. So we have Paulo here. Playing Paulo if they have Cinderclasm is pretty significant blowout here. So I think what I like is play land, play Adeline, which plays around Jwari Disruption. And it also plays around Cinderclasm to the best of our ability. This time we play a pre-combat because we actually want the 1/1 here. We don't get the training trigger anymore, unfortunately. So this feels like Cinderclasm, right? Yep. Cool. So they still take 2. Adeline is still going to stick around on the board. We can play, if we draw on tap land, we can play Thalia into Paulo. Or vice versa, depending on what we want to do. Goldspan Dragon. Okay. Is it sad defensive Goldspan Dragon? Nope. Yes? Maybe? Yeah, take your time. All right, we just went for it. Okay. Okay, so attacking with the Goldspan Dragon makes me think that they really do want the mana, which makes me think that they probably do have an Epiphany in hand. So I really want to get Spellbinder down to take that from them. And I think we do all this pre-combat so Adeline hits a little harder, and it'll give us the trigger for Mentor on the initiate. So I guess we start with Paulo here. No, we should start with Thalia, right? Because if they have a counterspell, then we want to tax it with Thalia. Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, so they have Jwari Disruption. They have another Goldspan Dragon, and they have Galvanic Iteration, but nothing to copy. So here we probably take Jwari Disruption, right? Get the Thalia in play, and it's really hard to imagine them beating us from there. I think so. And it's gonna be tough for them to beat, right? Like they can play the Goldspan Dragon, but it's not gonna be enough to stop lethal on its own. So they need to rip basically Epiphany right off the top, which is what these decks do. But no, it seems like we got there. Nice. On the play. Hand is very nice. We keep this. I think we start with Usher, right? Yeah, it's just the most aggressive thing we can be doing. If I knew that this opponent was running red... Okay. That's a little frustrating. So this is like the nut low matchup. It's going to be really tough. Mono black crushes mono white. So they can basically kill the Usher at will if they want. If we have it stick around for a turn, then next turn we get to pump up the Hopeful Initiate, which I guess is not nothing. So I guess we'll hold on. So if they have like exactly Deadly Dispute, they get to kill the Usher of the Fallen here. Oof. This is brutal. Okay. So I think we just attack. I don't want to put the Spellbinder on the board until they've, made whatever blocks they're going to with the Shambling Gas, so they can't kill the Spellbinder himself. We'll see what they do. Usher's a goner, of course. I don't think we're interested in paying here. I think we just want to get Paulo in play, get rid of their next play, and then have Faceless Haven available next turn. Lolth, Fellstinger, Mauling. So I don't think we can beat Lolth. But I do think we can beat Fellstinger. So they can play Fellstinger here, sack the Shambling Gas, kill the Spellbinder. And that just sort of is what it is. But at least they take 2 for the privilege. We are drawing a lot of land. So... feels like it's got to be Spellbinder again, right? If we attack with the Faceless Haven, we can pump up the Initiate, but then we don't get to play Paulo this turn. I think we just attack here, offer the trade with the Stinger. It's got Death Touch. I'd rather than block this than block the Faceless Haven later in the game. Headless Rider. Yeah, I think it's just Fellstinger again. Like, I really want my Faceless Haven to be able to get in. It's a good draw. Okay. Yeah, so we attack with Faceless Haven, hold up Valorous Stance. Okay. I mean, they probably -1 on the Spellbinder. Yeah, and they get their zombie as well. Obviously, Valorous Stance can't save the Spellbinder there. Just gives Indestructible. So if they play a creature that's got... well, and they drew that as well. I don't see us ever getting through this, unfortunately. Is there anything we can draw? Not really. Yeah, I think we can probably pack this one up. I'll take another draw step, but I don't see how we can get through these spiders. Well, if there was a way, that would be it, right? Can even protect it with Valorous Stance. They try to kill it. But it doesn't feel great. Yeah. Yeah. So we need to draw some sort of removal, and I don't think that there realistically is any in the deck for us to use here. This is an aggressive attack. Okay, never mind. Sorry, they have Menace. Yeah, do we just sort of go nuts in the air? We are just, like, dying as well. I think we have to try to kill Lolth. Actually, do we care about Lolth? I don't think so. We take 4. Okay. Maybe we get there. It's hard to imagine. Okay. Yeah, they kind of have it all, right? Whoa. Okay, yeah. They keep the Reachers back, and I'm not sure there's a way out at this point. So... how much damage are they pushing through next turn? 3, 5, 9, 11, 13. So we need to hold back 3 blockers. Which I guess we can do. Okay. Oh no, we're dead to the Faceless Haven. We're dead on board, right? Block, block, block. 2, 4, 6, 7. Exactly lethal. Okay, they don't activate the Faceless Haven, though. Is this still lethal from pumping the champions? Oh, that's cute. They make us pay 2 life here. Can we live? Block, block, block. Take 6, dead. That's a cute lethal. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't really think that there was much we could have done against that particular draw. So what do we want? Portable Hole seems pretty good. Skyclave Apparition seems pretty good. The one toughness creature that I kind of don't like here. I don't know how I feel about Thalia. I feel like Thalia is probably pretty bad, especially against zombies. Like, if this was mono black, I would think more about it, but I think against zombies, Thalia is pretty poor. Sky Mall against, like, the removal deck doesn't seem all that great either, but we kind of do want to be able to fly in the damage at the end of the day. Valorous Stance seems pretty bad. Maybe we don't want any of those. Were they snow? They were snow. So Summer Dane is probably worthwhile. Yeah, I think I'm fine cutting one of the Ushers just because the one toughness feels so bad against the Shambling Ghasts. I mean, we did cut a 1-drop, but we kind of like are running into this issue of too many 3-drops, right? I think we keep this. Worried about mulliganing on the play against the deck full of 1-for-1 removal. But oh, okay. I was going to say we jam the adversary on too, but now we clearly play this. Oh, and they're stuck on 1 land? Love it. So Adeline doesn't seem like she's that great here. I'm just going to get Sky Mall going. Next turn we can play Spellbinder to try to take something off of them. Ray of Enfeeblement. Okay, so that's a card I should have known to play around. They probably would not have kept a 1-lander that did not include Ray of Enfeeblement, come to think of it. Yeah, let's get Paulo in play. With the intention of next turn playing Adeline and attacking with it. Oh dear. That's a lot of Tainted Adversary. I think we just take the Infernal Grasp. Another Champion of the Perished. Okay. No blocks. So we can just play the adversary here, right? Pump up the Spellbinder, have a big lifelinker on the ground. Could suit up the Spellbinder with the Maul, that seems worse. Yeah, I like this. And then next turn we can even suit up the adversary with the Sky Maul. So this is a swing for 4, 7, 9. Take 9, put this in the air. We go to 9 again. You were just supposed to trade off with the biggest champion, go to 16, start beating them in the air with the Spellbinder. Have an Adeline in play. If we draw on tap land, we can play Adeline plus Sentinel. Yeah, I think I like it. And that's exactly what happens. So they get to eat the 1/1, so that's whatever. And I suppose we take the creature from the graveyard. Another handed adversary for no value, right? It just pumps the champions. Okay, I mean that's frightening, right? So this is an attack for 5, 9, 11. It's a fight. It's exactly lethal. We can double block the 5/5. We can chump the 5/5, keep Adeline around. Take 6. Take 6 down to 5. Now we're dead to a land. Another Paulo. Okay. So say we attack, and say we play the shield. Then they're attacking for 1, 2, 0. Yeah, I think that's the play. And hope they can't get through this this shield. Yeah, we are. Are we dead to this? Probably. 1, 2, 5. Yeah, exactly dead. Yeah, I mean, that was a frustrating game. Not gonna lie. Probably made some misplays here or there, but that matchup feels abysmal. That's great. Definitely keeping. Question is what to play on 1. Mulligans, okay. I think I just like getting the Usher in play. In game 1, not knowing what I'm up against. Jwari Runes tapped, okay. Yeah, we're going to play the Luminarch Aspirant here, and I think we're going to pump it to play around, what's it called? The Spikefield Hazard? Okay, so they let us untap, which is kind of cool. Now I'm definitely going to pump the Usher, I think. So this is blue-white control, actually. which is interesting. Fateful Absence. So we can cast Valorous Stance here, or we can just let the Luminarch Aspirant die. Letting it die gives us the clue, which is, not nothing. Valorous Stance is probably no good at any other point. I think I do like Valorous Stance here to save it, and then play one of our 1-drops, probably the Initiate. Obviously, there's no Doomscar yet. They weren't able to foretell anything. Okay. So I think the plan here is probably the same as it was against Izzet. Bring in the 1 Thalia and take out the Sky Maw. Although, I mean, the Sky Maw wasn't even that bad against blue-white, because all of their removal was sorcery speed. But I still think it's a little all-in, a little more all-in than we need to be. This seems good. I think it's a 1-2-3 curve. With Paulo to disrupt them. Ideally, we won't draw any more planes for the rest of the game. Okay, so again, there's no foretell here for Doomscar, which is like the main concern. Okay. So opponent has shown that they do run Jwari Disruption. There's not much else this can be. They also kept a 2-lander. Although, I mean, if they had Jwari Disruption, they probably would have played it as a land here, right? They would not have missed their land drop. Definitely attacking first. If they blink here, then we'll get in their hand with Spellbinder. So this has got to be like Fateful Absence here. If it is Fateful Absence, I mean, maybe we just cast Valorous Stance again. Yeah, I mean, Valorous Stance here represents a lot of damage. Because we still play the 1-drop. Yeah, I think we do this. Sure. Yeah, so by doing this, we get 4 extra damage through this turn, and we still get to make a play. And next turn, we'll be able to attack with Faceless Haven if we want. They're still missing land drops a few turns off Doomscar, which we can even prevent with Spellbinder if that's what we decide we need to do. Skyclave Apparition on what? On the Initiate. Okay. So this is probably a Spellbinder plus Usher kind of turn. We can attack with Faceless Haven. I don't think so. I think we attack. Pump the Initiate. If they block, we get this token. They do make the trade, which says to me that they have some kind of Wrath effect and they don't want this Apparition on the board anymore. And so our plan here is just to take that away with Spellbinder. Stadium, Apparition, Revelry, Teferi. So Revelry is almost for the full Monty, right? They can play Skyclave Apparition, hitting Spellbinder. If they play the Revelry, they get 2 1/1s. I think it's got to be Revelry. If they hit land, I guess it doesn't matter. Okay, so here's the Apparition targeting probably Paulo. No, targeting the Initiate. Okay. So that's a pretty outstanding draw, because now we get to attack with the Faceless Haven and play Thalia post-combat. I think we're down to just attack with everything, right? Because if they trade with the Usher, we get the token, and we're still hitting them for 7. Yeah. They still can't Doomscar us. They don't have enough mana for that. Is there an argument for making a 1/1? We're hitting them for 7. Next turn we'll have 4 in the air, which isn't enough. Sorry, does he gain life? He does gain life if they play him. So does Revelry. Yeah, Thalia, playing Thalia guarantees they can't play Revelry next turn, so I think that's what we're going to do. If they were on 4 mana and Doomscar was a threat next turn, or I guess if they were on 5 and Doomscar was a threat next turn, I might consider holding Thalia back, but I think this is just a little too much for them to overcome. Yeah, and we got there. Cool. Okay, so pretty convincing showing against Control. I didn't feel like any of these games were really games. I don't think there was a way... I think we played well in Game 2 of the Izzet match, but I don't think there was too much else that wasn't decided from the get-go. I think we were fated to lose the game against Mono Black. We were probably fated to win that game against Blue White. And there was a little bit of technique involved against Izzet. But yeah, deck seems super sweet. Not really my kind of jam, but it's always nice to play the decks that you're going to be up against in a tournament too, so you know what they fear. Anyway, good showing. Happy with this one. I'll see you guys in the next video.